And in the American deal, most of the people are still occupying positions handed to them by the president. And Noah Nash will be continue the conversation about the people who are in charge of the administration of the country. Yesterday, he claimed that it was the financiers of the party who are managing the affairs of the country. He did, however, did not mention the people who are the financiers of the MPP. And tonight, we'll be trying to extract that conversation or those names from him. Noah Nash, welcome once again.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you once again.
Of course.
Are you satisfied with the Addo governance of the country?
I would say that I'm not satisfied because I have told you yesterday that one of the critical things when you become a president you must learn to do and understand is the fact that whatever the people did for you was a goodwill. So those goodwill must be reciprocal. Addo has not done that for me as far as I'm concerned. For instance, if you look at infrastructure, I can talk a bit about it, but I'll give you a typical example. If you look at during the campaign season, one of the key things that came up was the fact that we had nuisance taxes. Yes, we had nuisance taxes. They admitted that there were nuisance taxes. When they came into office, what were they supposed to do? They were supposed to give us the opportunity to know what some of those nuisance taxes were. Now, they came up with a policy to reduce some of those taxes that actually they felt that were burden on Ghanaians who were actually in the informal sector. Now you ask yourself a big question. In Tamale, where I live, Changle precise, and other part, I live in Jakare, I have office in Jakare and let me say Russian Bagalu. If you look at that area, internet connectivity there is one of the poorest you can find, both MTN and Vodafone. We have a 4G service that is being rendered by these two telecom companies, but we still have a poor service. But Addo's government promised us that it's going to make the economy better for us. We're going to have proper connectivity and other things. Now, what did we see in the last supplementary budget we saw? If Addo is actually in charge of this country, they introduced a tax element to increase your talk tax. So when you are talking to somebody, hello, hello, you are paying almost 9% of that. It used to be 6%.
Yeah, it was 6%.
Now,
now it's
9%.
It was even a 50% increment.
Exactly. So the question you ask yourself is that if this man is actually the one in charge, and we have connectivity in the rural areas and difficulty in communities, just even in Tamale, I mentioned to you just Tamale, Changle. So you imagine Washe and others, those communities. Let's go to your community. You come from Walewale.
No, I'm not from Walewale. Don't give it to the people of Walewale. No, I come from Du. I'm not from Walewale. You come from but Du, it's under the West Maputo district.
Exactly.
Yes. So
go to those communities.
Yes.
All the way to Nalergo.
Yes.
Can we boast of a stable connectivity and a stable internet connectivity? No.
Even in Accra, you don't have it in all areas. So why would you be taking it to my village?
You see, we have this difficulty. And you have a finance minister who is related to the family bringing in a budget supplement and increasing a tax element that is making it so difficult for people to get.
Take the conversation further.
So you can understand that when I tell you Addo is not in control, I mean every bit of that word.
So who was supposed to be controlled in the communication sector? Because he appointed a communication minister.
Fantastic. When he has appointed a communication minister, the communication minister, if you have read news articles that were published by colleagues of ours, you would have realized that he gave a hint that they were going to look at reduction.
It's rather she.
Yes. She's going to look at a reduction in that process. What did we see with the finance minister? It looks like the minister himself, who is the communication minister, is even not in charge. So how much more his boss? Now, when you go...
No, hold on. Yes, okay.
If you look at the talk tax, the element of the talk tax,
yes.
The element of the talk tax, what benefit would it be to us? When we are still struggling to put up maxes.
No, let our viewers understand that the increment of the taxes was to provide cyber security for Ghanaians. And that's very vital.
Cyber security that we are looking at, we have received donor funding that is even enough to do that project.
Donor funding from?
Oh, even if you ask Japanese government, our president is currently in Japan, he can get a grant for cyber security.
No, so are you saying that we can receive or we have received?
No, we can.
Okay.
We can.
Okay.
The reason is that recently, I was in Australia. Japan, China, Australia, and some New Zealand, we were attacked heavily. There was a serious cyber attack. So I cannot downplay the fact that cyber attack is not real. But the point is that whatever the ministry wants to do will not cost us that huge that they need to take and deprive us individuals, common citizens. Right now, as I speak to you now, when I load 5 CD, it's like I've dropped something in water.
Okay, take the conversation further. No.
Now, if you look at housing, it's a very
housing. It's still ongoing.
Yeah. No. If the president is in charge of this country,
they are starting in Amasamai. So what's this?
Wait now, Jare, no make it no bring them now.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah, see, let me tell you something. If the president is in charge, NDC has built an affordable housing line somewhere. The intent of the NDC is to give it to some people.
Yes.
Why is it still lying there? Why is Atachian battling who to give it to?
Is he battling? He said the money used to put it up was, he described it as extortion because the budget was inflated.
I can agree 100%. I can agree.
Okay.
He has every right to look into those monies.
Okay.
But the question I am asking is that the cost of living in Accra is gradually becoming expensive.
It has
if
always
you
been
pay
expensive.
people 1,500 a month, they cannot afford rent. That is why you still find people living outskirts of Accra. Meanwhile, we have buildings in Accra that young graduates, people who work in Barclays Bank, UMB Bank, and other banks.
I really appreciate it if you stop mentioning specific names.
No, I'm only telling you that those boys, we believe that those candidates who work in, let's say those individuals, those citizens are well paid, but yet still they can't afford to rent those houses. Go to Villaggio. A tall building of that nature, people are still not living in it. The percentage-wise, it's not even up to 50%. We still have houses within Accra. Tesano here. Tesano. We still have Cantonment. We still have Laboni. People cannot afford rent.
Okay, hold on.
You continue. On the mind of the president?
You will continue.
If the president is in charge, then he must be able to tell us that not building affordable housing, there must be another measure where people can be able to access those structures so that at least the kiosks that we have in our neighborhood, those young men can graduate into the single rooms we find around. Housing is so expensive. Recently, Yvonne Nelson went on Twitter and stated Ghana is expensive.
So if Yvonne Nelson can afford to pay her rent and live well in the country,
she lives in the house.
Hold on.
She lives in the house, but still says Ghana is expensive.
I'm just making a point. I'm trying to say that if no one can buy every single thing, it definitely affects the lives of every single person, and that person too feels comfortable. If Yvonne Nelson says Ghana is very expensive, that isn't to say that every single Ghanaian is feeling what she's going through to say that Ghana is really expensive.
Of course, it tells you that at her level...
She's only famous.
No. At her level, the normal grassroots person...
What level are you talking about?
Excuse me to say...
The level that she's always on screen acting movies?
No.
But what level are you talking about here?
At least, we can say that she has a regular income. Yvonne Nelson has a regular income.
Paid by who?
Oh, she has a businesses, she has a companies that runs fast things for her. So you cannot dispute the fact that she doesn't have she has a regular income. If such a lady would come out and say that a country is so expensive, it tells you that there are certain basic things that she cannot afford.
No, hold on. I'm coming back to the affordable housing thing. Yesterday, a report by state newspaper, The Graphic, it actually says that Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has carried sword for work to commence on the construction of a landmark 6,500 homes at Amasamai as part of the United Nations Office of Project Services and Sustainable Housing Solutions. And it says that 100,000 affordable housing scheme. This was Dr. Bawumia speaking at the ceremony indicated the backing in the housing in Ghana. One of the greatest ongoing need across Africa is the availability of affordable housing for citizens. This was what Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia said. But Noah is indicating that the people who have voted to manage the affairs of this country are not in charge. But if the vice president actually steps out there to carry sword for the construction of 6,500 homes at Amasamai, what shows that they are not in charge? Noah.
You can tell me that he has cast sword. He has cast sword. Yes, he has cast sword. Yes. But let's wait and see Listen, I'm going to tell you something very fundamental about this.
Okay.
Because I have my own personal comment about this because, one, even the contractor, the people who have been assigned to get this thing done, let's ask ourselves, how transparent is the process? Was it advertised for people to know that such a project is going to commence?
And they have the right to go for restrictive tendering. So
fantastic,
because you need to go for specific people who can get a job done.
That brings us to the fact that that is why we are still having scandals under this administration. Because the due diligence in separating ourselves from conflict of interest is still not something that we still think about.
You see,
look, let me tell you something.
Mr. Emil Short said, the conflict of interest is not spelled out in the 1992 Constitution of Ghana. So if we talk about conflict of interest, what actually are you trying to say? If the Constitution doesn't define it for people to know that if I do ABC, I'll be caught in the middle of conflict of interest.
We should not be awarding we should have an open tender contract.
You cannot always have open tender contracts when you have specific people who can get the job done.
If it is transparent enough, it makes it easy. Look, this contract that has been given, how many you answer the question. How many companies, local companies we have in the housing industry will benefit from this contract?
I'm saying you say this later. Let's assume I'm putting up a media house, Kwesa TV. I want someone to put up a studio for me. Will I open it up for an engineer somewhere to get a contract because I feel that I want to be transparent? Want to know that there are specific people who can get a job done?
When you are within a public service, that is required. If you're in the private service, it is not required.
The public service too, it is required that you can often have restricted tendering. It is allowed.
Muftau, you are an individual. If you want somebody to do something for you, because you know me, as somebody who is a professional, you can ask me,
it is not illegal.
You have capability, come and do this for me. It's possible. I can submit my proposal, you look into my proposal, if you are comfortable, you give me the contract. Yes. But when it comes to government, where taxpayers' monies are involved, you cannot do that.
So government cannot use taxpayers' money to specific individuals because they know these specific individuals can get a job done.
They should open it because it is taxpayers' money. The procurement says that when it is an expertise, the person is an expert, he has expertise in particular area, and you want him to do that, you have to write to get it done, and it must be approved. That is what I want you to know.
No,
when it comes to procurement, you see, this is the law.
Procurement of even government institutions. No, we are not.
Can I proceed further?
No, we'll come back there, but we need to establish the fact that it is not illegal for restrictive tendering to be done even by government offices. That's a fact we need to establish.
So NDC will come back to power and say they didn't do the right thing. They waste taxpayers' money, set up a committee, give it to special prosecutor, who wastes our time, waste public funds. That is what exactly
you've not still answered the question as to whether it is legal for restrictive tendering to be done or not.
In this process, this housing project doesn't go through the same process. And somebody comes into power. No, the person will claim that he has not done the right thing, so therefore, I'm also going to prosecute, I'm also going to look into it. What do we do? That is exactly what Atacha is now doing. Wasting everybody's time. Wasting everybody's time in this country. You see, when I need to live in that house.
You see, Noah, when we
that is exactly what they have done. When we don't
establish the facts,
they said they want to start building. The next moment NDC will come into power. They'll come and disturb us.
Okay.
Disturb us.
Let me read
and
some
tell
comments.
us that, oh, we want to start this process. We want to do this.
Enough. No, enough.
What is all this?
No, enough. You and I are talking in the studio. You and I are talking in the studio, but our viewers who are sending in messages. This one came from Abrant here. He says that he's confident about... he's answering the question. We're asking whether they are confident about the administration of this country being done by the MPP, and he was asking confident about what exactly. MPP isn't doing anything better. And this one from Felix Kwoko, he says, I'm waiting for their next term. They have handled the agricultural aspect well. Others need critical attention as well. This one came from Kweko Felix. And let me read the last comment before we go for break. And this one that came from V. But sorry if I don't get your name right. At V. The Goat. Has a question fit. Mr. Journalist, please, can we listen to the people explain the things very well? Because you are disgracing. You should let them explain, because it's like you know everything already. We'll go for a break. When we come back, We'll still be talking more here on the feed with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah.
Mi hermana desapareció y tengo que saber por qué.
Creo que más de una mujer ha muerto en este.
Hay dos cosas que odio: los errores y las mentiras.
Solo tú puedes ayudarme a descubrir lo que pasó en este lugar.
Thanks for sticking and staying with us here on Kwesa TV. This is the feed with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Tonight, we're talking about whether you are happy with the administration of this country being done by the MPP government, led by His Excellency Nana Addo Addo. No one else claims that the president is not in charge of the resources or disbursing the resources to meet everyone's requirement of being a citizen of this country. And he's not been able to establish some key factors that have shown that Nana Addo is not in charge of the administration of this country. He's just been saying that simply because his appointees have led his government to be involved in certain scandals, approximately about 65 of them. You can name them from the contracts for sale to the Calvin VGG, then PDS scandal. You also have
software scandal.
The SNIS software scandal. There are so many. The scandals are actually so many. And before we went for a break, he was trying to explain to us how some of the procurement of certain contracts are often done. He was saying that because it is public offices, the procurements must always be open to the general public to tender in to secure the contracts so that you select the best people who can get it done. But we're talking about whether it is illegal or legal for restrictive tendering to be done. Noah,
So
just establish the fact that whether it is legal or illegal to have restrictive tendering and procurement.
I said, look, we have had so many scandals. It is the best interest of this government, if they want to avoid it, it will be in their best interest. I believe that whenever we are dealing with scandals, we waste so much resources of the taxpayers' money to deal with them. Okay. And I felt that is unfair to the taxpayer. Okay. That is why I feel that in this project, for instance, you could have gone to Turkey and bring a company that does fabrication. And so they are into fabricating housing. That is their expertise. You can do a waiver and you can do everything and say that's the process. Let them tender in, bring it out in the public. Let people push and you can't get anybody. Then you can move into the specific. I believe that that is the way to solve a lot of the scandals. I believe in this government that they can do a lot better, provided you can avoid the scandals. Now, for instance, let me give you a typical example of one issue. Look, we have been looking at oil. We have toll. What is preventing us to fix our refinery, get it running? That is one of the major campaign activities to reduce the burden of the Ghanaian, where the Ghanaian can sit in the car and say, I'm paying 2 cedi for buying fuel. But here's the case. Under Nana Addo's government, he has never made a very strong effort, very strong effort to relieve the people of the burden, of the pressure that we find ourselves on the crude market business. What am I trying to say? Go to the filling station today. You are looking at 5 cedi.195. Why should it be so?
Why should it
we
be
can
so?
beat it down if we have the TOR refinery section working, running. Where we pick the crude oil from here, we take it to them, we give it to them to refine. When they refine it, we don't need to use dollar to send it abroad, use dollar to bring it back in. It's Nanado's, what's the opinion of Nanado on some of these issues? As a president, he had that vision that he wants to make it very, very, very easy for people. But now it's like a burden. Everybody is having that burden. There's a pressure on everybody's body. People want to steal each other to make it. So you realize that the people who actually brings those oil, crude oil, and bring the refined crude and refined product are the ones within government. And they are making a lot of millions of cedis.
Is it a crime for them to make money?
It's not a crime.
Okay.
But why should we? Look, Nanado wants to create jobs. That same TOR, if it is running, do you know the number of people Nanado can employ? You are talking about people who have expertise. I have aunties and cousins who have worked in TOR before. All of them, some of them are sitting in Qatar.
So we should come and hire your sisters and aunties.
No,
right?
I'm telling you that we've lost good labor. We've lost good labor. Very good people who have expertise. We've wasted taxpayers' money to train them at all. Nanado government can really do something positive. Here they are only interested in the fact that, our people, they should make money. So therefore, we should give them the contract to go and bring.
Is it the attitude of all politicians or Nanado government?
Nanado, look, NDC have done it. He went publicly and stood on the platform during campaign and said these people are liars and they are thieves. Therefore, we should put them out. How different is what NDC did to you or to us that you are not doing to us now? How different are you? You are not really different. NDC export, look, during Nanado's time, before Nanado's time, we had Sahara. They used to bring the refined product. What happened? They changed it. Kofi Wayo also went into those business. So many people also went into that business. Under the NDC. NDC left. They packed all those people away.
So there was no need for Ghanaians to even
brought their own people,
right?
Whether they are Ghanaians or not, should we always be looking at refined products when the facility there, we can make millions? In the first place, so many years ago, under the Gentle Giant, we had the opportunity for the Koreans to purchase that particular facility.
The Gentle Giant he's talking about here is John Ejekum Kufuor.
Yes. We had that refinery to be purchased by the Koreans. We said, no, it's our strategic investment. Therefore, we are not going to give it out. What have we done to it now? It's an elephant. Elephant.
A white elephant.
White elephant. Elephant like the one that we have on the posters of the MPP. No moving, no shaking. No moving, no shaking. That is exactly how we have reduced this country. Now people cannot afford accommodation. Are you telling me that you, the president, you are in charge? How do you feel, Mr. President? What's your opinion about the hardship of the people when they cannot afford, they cannot pay rent? People are paying 2 months, 2 years. Instead of paying 6 months, they can't. You have a department called Rent Control. You have a minister designated for those areas. Yes, still nothing. No show. Show boy is not showing show. Show boy is not showing show. What is this?
No,
we are having difficulties.
No, I don't even know what to say again because
Smith scandal, the Smith scandal, the software scandal that happened. Up to today, what's the update?
The software scandal, it wasn't actually an MPP scandal. It was something they came and met. They were only trying to clean the system.
So 2 years.
They were trying to clean the system.
2 years. 2 years. My brother, do you know how? Oh God, hey my God. What is this? Look, in Tanzania.
Don't compare us to any country.
No.
We are Ghana.
Tanzania. They are African countries. Tanzania. Rwanda. What is the likes of those presidents? We don't have any standard president from Ghana who can equate himself, apart from Professor Mills and Rollins. The rest have all failed us. Even John Dramani Mahama, who sat in the office of the presidency, even at a point in time, lost it because he also was controlled the same way Nana Addo is also being controlled by financiers. That is why it is always difficult.
This is the allegation I don't always want to mention. When you come establish those who are the financiers and
they
are the architects and people who are running the country,
listen, if Nana Addo is really in control, how come that they introduced a tax?
Okay.
Luxury tax levy.
We've run out of time.
What happened?
We've run out of time.
Why did he pull it out?
We've run out of time. For good 1 hour.
Agitate for people, so people must agitate and say that it's a bad tax before Nana Addo wake up in a sleep and say, oh.
Thank you, Noah. Noah, thank you.
So?
Thank you. I like that. But for good 1 hour, you've ever been established who is actually running the affairs of the country because not even a single person's name have been mentioned. For good 1 hour.
I have mentioned when I said Kennedy. Kennedy is also a financier of the party. Okay, I can mention a lot of them.
So Kennedy is running the country. But I don't have the right to mention them. Okay, now let's just take one comment and then we'll wrap up because we've run out of time. This one came from National Befi. He says that #question I don't know why the president refuses to sack certain people in the public sectors. They really shows how corrupt the MPP government is. This really shows how corrupt the MPP government is. On that note, we say thank you very much for joining us here on the feed. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullah. Good evening.